the Subcommittee, golf committee, for the city Subcommittee. Now, roll call, Nick Azzolini. Here. Rick.
Yeah.
Andy.
Here.
Ben Page.
Here.
Dick Bale's here. First is approval of minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes for the August 5th.
Okay, Andy, a second?
Second.
You guys can't vote it because you weren't here. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Public input. So I guess we'll do this now. This is, I want to introduce the first T people, Jason and
Wendy.
Wendy. Well, I'll tell you,
That's
don't
okay.
get old and forget it.
Thank you.
Jason and Wendy from First T Orange County. For those of you on the committee, they sent an email to me, which I replied to, and they sent an email back to me. So if you want to come up and talk about your proposal.
Put a little something together and do that, but. So thank you, first off, for taking a few minutes to hear me out. I'm Jason Reddick, Program Manager with First Tee Orange County. Orange County, First Tee is a national program that's been around for almost 25 years. Us in Orange County have been around for almost 8 years. We're a 501 nonprofit organization. Our mission is to strive to impact the lives of young people by providing educational programs that build character, instill life-enhancing values, and promote healthy choices through the game of golf. So our primary mission is to teach life skills and how to play the game the right way. Try to get better at golf is kind of our secondary mission. Something that we had been doing at San Clemente Golf Course since October of 2015. When COVID hit in March 2020, we had to stop, understandably. But we were teaching classes there on Tuesday afternoons for those almost 5 years. We started on Monday afternoons as well in April of 2018 and was doing classes there as well. Over that time, we had 531 participants come through the program. Kind of grew every year from 69 participants in 2016 up to 184 in 2019. 90 of those were bused from Boys and Girls Club of South Coast in San Clemente because we were given a donation by a national trustee and resident of San Clemente, Ray Tagliani. He gave us a large sum of money to partner with Boys and Girls Club of South Coast. So we brought 90 kids from there over to the golf course to learn some golf, and they didn't pay a single thing. So that was a lot of fun. 441 of those participants were regular participants of our program. They pay $45 to $90. They get 9 classes worth. So again, very affordable. 143 of those participants were residents of San Clemente. We also had classes from 2015 to 2018 at Short Cliffs Golf Course in San Clemente as well. Another of those 42 participants were residents of San Clemente. So we have not been able to be back. I know golf has blown up like crazy since COVID. San Clemente Golf Course is very low on space and things, but we continue to get bombarded with questions from families. When can we return to San Clemente? We love San Clemente Golf Course. We can't drive the streets of Orange County and move out of this area. So that's why I've continued to try. I understand the space is limited. So my proposal and thought was we could run a successful life skill class entirely in the short game area at San Clemente Golf Course. If you're not familiar with that, it's at the north end of the parking lot. There's a green with 3 flags, a bunker there. It's right next to the wedding area. I put some pictures on there, but I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. We've done that in the past. We utilize it for our conversations. All we need is a little patch of grass to talk about our life skills and our activities, what we're going to learn that day. We can set up things in the area. We don't need any driving range. We don't need any golf course. Hour and a half of class, sit down, talk about what we learned, and call it a day. So I'm sorry if that went a little long, but I just wanted to bring it up and see if we can make something work. I understand, again, that San Clemente is a small facility as far as driving range locations, and I try and get tee times myself, and it's impossible. So all we need is a little patch of grass, and we can run a very, very nice class. So thank you for hearing me.
Does anybody have any questions for Jason?
And when were you thinking of, when would you want that area if we were able to get it on?
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. We run classes in 9-week blocks 4 times a year, so our next available time would start mid-January, the week of January 17th. So
What
from
day
there.
is it?
Really anything that works for the golf course. Vinny had said Tuesdays was his best day in the past, so we'd be fine with that. If it was Monday, okay. The time, time falls back this weekend, so we have a very small window, but a standard class for us is an hour and a half, so maybe 3:30 till 5.
So that's once a week?
Yeah.
So your original query to me was for space on the driving range.
Yeah, and I can see that if that's not doable, we'll do without it, and we can run a nice class with no driving range.
All right, any other questions?
How many kids can you anticipate needing space for?
We try and have a class of 12 participants, so I think that's probably, just given the short game area, that's
And then a couple of volunteers?
yeah,
as well?
1 lead coach and probably 2 volunteers.
Did you get a lot of high school students to get some of their volunteer hours that way? as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
What age are the kids?
Our program is anywhere from 4 to 18-year-olds, but if we had just the short game area, I would keep it on the younger end. We do have a hitting net. I don't know if that would be an option to put in that area, so we could hit golf balls in like make full swings, but into a net. That was a thought of mine for this small space, but.
Strictly speed.
Okay, so appropriate for us, move for us would be to take this up with the guys in the golf course. If you don't mind.
Sure.
We don't meet but once a quarter, so it's a long way to wait. In order to expedite this, if you don't mind, myself or whoever the next chairman is, I suggest we probably take it up with Dave and Vinny, Rocky, and those guys, and see what they can say. It's okay. As far as I'm concerned, it's fine with me. I said, I don't have to do the driving, I don't think. But, for an hour and a half on a Tuesday afternoon, I really don't have a problem. So, Jason and Wendy, if you don't mind, I'll get back to you, or somebody will get back to you next week.
Okay. Sure.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Fair agree to that?
Oh, yeah, we can go a time to discuss it.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
And that was the second week of January, sorry?
The 17th.
17th.
Yeah.
Would that be something you want the health subcommittee to look at instead
No,
of the chair?
we'll just
Because I also want to make you guys aware that if you're conducting business, there's some other nuances, including a business license, if you're collecting money. There's some other details that need to be looked at, so let's talk about that as well.
Sure.
Offline.
Is that something you?
It's not, and my guess is it's never been enforced or looked at, so.
And so you are charging the kids for this then?
Yes, if they can't afford it, we do scholarship them, but we do charge about $90 per player.
And then if they were doing this, they not be doing, that area is not accessible for anybody else.
For an hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
Once a week. I don't know, in that area, they have weddings there too. I mean,
I know
they're
there's,
asked to leave and not practice there.
yeah, in the 5 years I was there, because I was the one teaching the classes, there was only maybe a handful of weddings. I'm sure it seems like people are getting married on weekdays more often now, but yeah, as long as we have an idea of when a wedding's coming up, we can adjust our schedule.
Good. Okay, we'll get together with staff and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, next order of business is old business.
Old business.
Old business, we have old business. Okay. New business, election of chair. So I've been chairman for a year. Thank you very much for your support. And understand the Robert's Rules of Order and dealing with the city and so forth. So I will entertain a recommendation or a proposal for somebody to take over as chairman for next year. Yes?
When you're ready. I was going to say that.
Okay. Next, and you recommended Rick. Is there a second for Rick or Nick? I'll second Rick.
I'll
I'll second Rick. Sorry.
That's okay, I mean, I've been doing this for years, and you guys passed me by, so I thought, maybe somebody
Well,
else.
if you recall, the last time you were chairman, we had a joint council meeting and you embarrassed us all.
I did.
Yes, you did. So, okay, the nominations for Rick to be chairman, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the next it's a vice chairman, which takes place of the person chairman if he's not here. So, any recommendation or motion for somebody to
I nominate Andy.
I'll second Mandy. All those in favor of Mandy being vice chair? Aye. Okay, that's it. Rick? You want to sit here or can you sit? It's all yours.
All right. We need a development of the golf course committee work plan. Did you guys take a look at this?
Samantha, do you have ours from when we put them in last time? Do you have the, let me see the,
It's in the archives.
Yeah, so last year's really there was a focus on green fees, the operating resolution, that was the big two, and that's really the chunks that were going on.
but we had other things like redoing the putting green, stuff like that.
So this is just a general ideas. You guys can add whatever you want to this work plan. This is not to be staff driven necessarily. If you guys want to say, we want to look at changing the putting green, the practice greens, anything like that, that's up to the committee. Keep in mind, council has the opportunity to say, no, that's not the direction we have for you guys. We want you to do this, and we're going to take that off. So this is all the things that this committee feels is necessary for the coming year, tangibly.
So this is an introduction to the annual work plan. When is it due?
They haven't set a hard date. What I've done with the Beaches Parks and Rec Commission is they had their meeting, they came up with kind of general ideas, they all voted, yeah, we want to see that. And then they designated the chair and the vice chair to work with staff to finalize it, and then it's going to council. So it didn't have to come back to the committee. You guys could do the same if you want to put that on the chair and vice chair as an option, if you guys kind of come up with general ideas of what everyone's looking for. That's an option. Last time they did have a sunset, they wanted to see it in October, and they didn't cancel it in that direction this year.
So maybe we should set a deadline for all of us to use some input on this. My initial thought is, I'd really like to have some kind of establishment of a tree policy. Where's the tree where the tree falls down? Sorry, George. A regular tree policy, that's the most important thing to me. And hunting, tree policy is not a big capital expenditure. Hunting green is. Anybody else have anything else? Do you have any idea, Ben? I mean, you just got on, I know, but.
Well, I mean, there's obviously two sides to it, right? There's in terms of golf course improvements, like the physical improvements to the course, right? And there's also the structure, how it run, or activities and things like that, I'm assuming. Is that right, Samantha? You can go either way.
Yeah, so these should be kind of high-level projects. The tree policy is a good example of that. Or, if you're looking at, if you're talking about projects from like the green standpoint versus say, we wanna review, the programming that's offered at the golf course, and we wanna bring in somebody like First Tee, or we wanna expand the cooks lessons, and we wanna see more of this. You can say we wanna kind of, not too specific, if you will. You could say we wanna look at how Jordan's maintaining the greens. It could be broad like that even. These have been very mixed across the board.
I think we can benefit the most by having Jordan take a look at one of these and write down his ideas for where he expects to take the course in the next year.
That's gonna be part of our master plan too, that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, so
We're gonna
that's
touch on that as well.
and that's gonna be another opportunity. We're gonna request some funding to update the master plan. It was done in the late 80s and then again in 2000. It was done in 2000 when they redid the clubhouse, and so they spent about $182,000 at that point. It's not gonna be that expensive, but at that plan, they looked at the driving range, the fencing, they looked at the greens, they looked at the tee boxes. They really dug deep, including the design of the clubhouse. How is it used? So I don't think we'll go to that level, because I don't think we're there anymore. But a master plan is typically done every 20 years, and so we're right at that marker.
And what is the committee feeling when you're doing the continuity? Because from my point of view, I don't kind of do it.
Really, I've been pushing that for a long time, so. That's okay. It's just 50% of the putting is unusable, honestly. The way it is.
The cost of fixing it is.
Yeah, but we're changing it for a lifetime. It's, you know.
So what you might want to do, and again, the work plan isn't to make a decision, it's to say this is important to the majority that we look at it. So for that, you can say we want to evaluate and review the infrastructure of that green and what the cost would be, the implications of that. And then a staff would come back with a report.
Before we make a decision one way or the other, you can see what is the cost.
Sure.
Do that and measure it against what's the benefit.
So you could put it in the work plan, we would bring back a report that gives you guys those details.
Quality will be remembered long after price is forgotten.
Yeah. Also the fencing, particularly on the right side of the driving range, so the fencing on the range, coming down the 6th hole here can oftentimes be, liable to get nailed there or the back there, so.
You haven't learned to walk along the fence?
I tend to hit it more to the left side, so actually I'm okay, but no. I just think sometimes re-looking at the fence, since those fences have been put in, golf balls are going so much farther higher, that people are able to hit them over it a lot easier. So might be something worth exploring. How tough and how expensive is it to add additional netting?
Isn't it on your approved list?
Yeah, I got a quote from it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You remember what it was?
Yeah, it's over $500,000.
$500,000 to raise the fence?
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Is that all the way, all
What about
all
to
three
dig out
sides?
Yeah,
or-
100%.
Go down.
Yeah, it's a big project.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I mean, you don't see a lot of balls on the left side, it's more to the right side.
Not that many left-handed slicers.
Exactly. So.
I almost died on one fairway, so if we're gonna do 6, we might as well do 1.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, you get some sort of less, it's not as bad when you're only doing one side versus the
Yeah.
other, so.
$500,000 to extend the fence.
Yeah, just new cables, new poles, because those poles aren't able to go up another 30 feet or whatever it is.
Some other courses when they have a restricted area for the range, there's signs up saying don't use the line of clubs on the range. If you can hit the fence, don't use the clubs. Is that an option? Rather than taking
I
the
think there are new
fence?
signs
have
that are
signs.
up there.
But what happens is, when people report to the pro shop, and the pro shop makes an announcement, and those who know the fence, please don't hit a driver. But it doesn't prevent you from sitting on the 3rd tee and getting banged, even the 2nd green, people bang you down there.
I guess I'm tired of them yelling at me for that.
Yeah, maybe 20 years ago.
20, about 40 years ago.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention is there any chance of making some of the silver tees, actual tees,
Yeah, that's a big project though. like, building actual fees, yeah, that's a big project, so that's something that can be included in the work plan.
It's a good homework project.
Yeah.
It's probably tougher for maintenance, because these, he
Where they are.
just runs across and puts the things back.
Mhm.
But,
What about improvements in the food and services provided by Wentworth and trying to reinvigorate?
I'm all for that.
I mean, I know we're leading into new, other things later on, hopefully.
Yeah, so I can update you guys. Well, yeah, so for the work plan, again, if we're staying on topic of the work plan, if the committee wants to look at food and beverage service, then it needs to be, we want to review the food and beverage service. So we would come back with a report that gives an opportunity for us to have a public discussion about that. And if the committee decides, hey, we want to see this, this, and this, and we want to see the beverage cart out more often, or we want to see the snack bar open these hours, that would be the opportunity to do that. So I
That might be worthwhile.
Well, in Wentworth's defense, both Debbie and Mia have been telling me on Saturdays that their manager is on them to, cater more to the golfers. I don't know. Yeah.
When did the new manager come in? Was it new like in the last month or so? Or?
So I can give you guys more of an update on that later on in the meeting. I think you'll be happy with that.
do we have a list then of stuff we want to do, look at this next year then, or next half year?
So I think, the idea to say, hey, we want to at least review food and beverage, no issues there. That gives you guys an opportunity to say, we want to see this. I could support that. To say, we want to look at fencing and netting on the golf course, particularly in lieu of some of these larger clubs that seem to really be changing the way our course is used. And we're hearing it from residents too, along the course, so maybe we look at that. Again, no promises to the public that we're gonna put fencing and netting up all over the course, but at least the committee looked at it, and people were able to have their say. If you wanna look at, the infrastructure of the putting green, that's fine, it's fine to put it on there. Again, we'll have a report for you guys, and you guys can decide, what direction should be taken.
So if I do the number 3, the tree policy be,
Tree policy could certainly be on there, absolutely.
we got 4 items there. Is this for calendar year or fiscal year?
Fiscal.
The second half.
So what you'll need is just a motion and a second, I guess, at this point, if you guys want to, this is what the DPR commission did. They said we, make a motion to allow the chair and the vice chair to work with staff to complete the work plan and then give it to council for approval. If you guys feel confident with that, up to you.
Okay, then we want to make a motion? Okay, I'll make a motion that the chair and the vice chair of the golf committee work the annual work plan to include food and beverage, fencing and netting, putting green, and tree policy as 4 items for discussion and proposal for the annual work plan to be completed in October 2020.
I'll second that.
Yeah, the plan, just give the plan to the city,
To the council.
the council.
It'll probably go,
So
Mr.
we're
Dyer
gonna
can-
formulate something and then
Yeah.
pass it around the board here to get the okay on it and then forward it to.
It can't get passed to the board. Can't do that. We have to bring back the
No.
meeting.
You have to,
Pass, this is the meeting, pass through us to give to council. In other words, we're not going to approve it or anything, we're just amongst ourselves. This is what we want to see, or these are the items we want to see taken care of. And then stuff going.
Basically,
That's all I'm saying.
basically, we've already done it. My motion is to take these 4 items and present those to the city
Right.
council.
Okay.
And I
More
need a-
discussion.
I need a second for the motion.
I said,
Okay.
Three guys so far.
Any further discussion? Yeah. All in favor?
Yes. Communications, we got any nasty letters? What? The toilet doesn't stink anymore in the clubhouse?
I haven't heard that complaint once, actually. That's funny.
Did you ever hear from John?
Yeah, I think-
About 16, yeah. Yeah, Smith and I met with him 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
yeah, I think there's,
Or-
there'll be a bigger discussion on that.
and can I make a suggestion on number 13, but I know we got the letters last month, or last week, on the balls, the airy balls.
Mhm.
Is it possible to move the blue tees a little bit forward than they are? Move the benches behind them forward and stop cutting the grass behind that? Because then they won't move back. And that shortens up.
I thought we wanted to keep that for tournaments.
Well, we do, but, you know, that, I haven't noticed the blue tees back. They've been up, you know, about 10 yards
Not in
past.
general.
Yeah, I can tell by the divots.
Yeah.
The entire front half is destroyed.
Well, but what are the results? Are they getting bombed up there? Have you had any more?
Yes.
Complaints?
I'm sorry, I've been handling this. I need to bring it up now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already brought it up. So I've been talking with the people up there. They still get balls, and you sent me an email on October the 5th that said that you were working on, still waiting for the insurance to clear the contract, and then I can schedule it to move the netting down. It should be cleared by Monday, and I haven't heard anything. It's been a month.
Yeah, so they were here Monday. Whoever did the bid completely underestimated the workload. So they were here all week, they scheduled them for 3 days, and they're here all week, and they haven't even completed half of the work that needs to be done, all the tree work that I scheduled them for. So they're gonna be back on the 15th to finish it up in November.
I saw the trees
Sorry,
along the
is
right.
this the
Yeah.
tree? I'm not talking about trees, I'm talking about the netting.
Yeah, they're fixing the netting as well, because those
Well-
trees need to get trimmed behind the
Before-
netting before we can do any work.
So
on
there
it.
is progress. I
Yeah.
can see it.
So we do have a net then, is that correct?
Yeah, it just needs to get replaced.
So
fixed.
when do you expect that'll be put in?
15th,
15?
yeah, that's part of their bid.
So Mandy's idea is a great idea, but again, Mandy,
I like the bench idea because that'll keep from using that thing until it's the city or something. And by the way, what happened to the city? We didn't have it this year, did we? Was I gone a weekend or something?
What's that?
The city tournament. Did you play in it?
No, I don't need to play for it. But.
It's usually the last
Didn't
week
happen.
in October, but.
Yeah, didn't happen so far.
Yeah, no, it won't now. Okay.
You know what we're talking about, Ben? Eric Falls on 13, you know, they go up to those, you know, the trees.
Well, you gotta get over the ice plant, you gotta get left of the ice plant, get up on the road, get up to those homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that netting is probably irrelevant now, based on where it is compared to everything, right? So that's why you're extending it down there in response to.
Yeah, it's kind of just sagging, so we're gonna just tighten it up, and there's a
Yeah.
kind of corner that's hanging loose.
You're
Is it being
lowering-
extended
Are
at
you
all, or is
lowering-
it just
lowering it too,
tightened?
right?
Just tightened.
And
Aren't you lowering it?
No,
Well,
there's a
it doesn't do any
suggestion,
good then.
there's a
because-
suggestion to put plants in, that's what we're gonna go with. But we can't do that until the trees are critical.
The netting's not going to lower, because the netting right now doesn't do anything. Because the walls would go right underneath it.
Yeah, I thought we talked about putting plants in,
those bushes or
like
something?
shrubs, yeah. I think that's a better
Okay.
solution.
All right.
If the netting doesn't do anything, why are we keeping the net? It's not.
Oh, I think it does. I've looked at the trajectory points and stuff, and that net'll stop anything that, like it says, the line we're going underneath. I don't know how they got airborne enough to do that, but the problem was before from the back tees, they'd go left of the net up into the houses.
if there are those trees, like you said, that are there, but they're not doing anything, it's slowing down.
Those stone pines there?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they're helping.
yeah, they can't be
Yeah.
hurting, I mean,
Yeah.
How movable is that thing?
It's,
it's,
well,
we
yeah.
moved them.
Yeah.
Because then if you just move the bench and then you can move it away when you go.
Yeah. What's the impact to the tee box though by
It'll
doing
be,
that?
it's just gonna be rough. Like, we're not gonna be able to bring it back for tournament.
Yeah, it's just gonna,
It's
it's
just
gonna
gonna
grow
be
back over, you're gonna
yeah.
lose the overseed that's on there.
Yeah.
It's just gonna get taken over by the cocoon.
Yep, so it'll be a nursery,
That.
a sod nursery.
How many balls are there for you?
No, we get balls every week for complaining all the time.
And is it the homes closer to the tee box or are they farther up the hill?
No, it's just, if you stand at the white tee box area and look left underneath the netting, there are two homes, Dave Melberg and this other gal, Linda. And they're right side by side and there's two driveways and their cars get hit all the time. So it's right, those two houses. I think the houses up above used to get hit. In fact, I think this one guy that hit a broken window over those houses. But that was when the trees were younger, smaller, they could hit over those trees, big hook. But I don't think people can do that anymore. Maybe with the blue tees, the area they can't put it back.
Have we confirmed that the, and I don't know if there's any way to confirm this, that the players from the blue tees are the ones, I mean, we put in this player, move everything forward and then it turns into nothing changes because it's people from the white tees that are doing it? I'm just throwing that out there. Do we have, we don't
It's
have
almost a
any-
physical impossibility from the white tee area to hit those houses.
Probably hit yourself in the left knee before it got to that.
Yeah.
And I lived on 12 for 5 years, and we got hit every day.
Yeah.
But it's a golf course. I live on a golf course. You've got to expect that.
They know that, we're just trying to be
Yeah.
Yeah,
friendly
if you can
neighbors.
do something to
Sure.
help
Yeah.
with that.
Great.
So can we ask, can we lose the bench then?
He's right there.
Yeah, we're gonna lose that back
Oh, I
tee.
mean,
It's not gonna be,
that-
it's not gonna be usable.
Yeah, you just said the back of the tee will never be used though, again.
Like, you can't just mow it to tee height like overnight. Like, if you do that, it'll die. So if we're moving the tee, the impact of moving the bench up is that's just not gonna be usable for tournaments at all. It's just gonna be rough.
And what happens to the blue marker that's back there that's being used to measure the course distance?
Yeah, we'll have to keep it level so that we don't lose that. But that'll kind of be where the bench will be with that blue team marker. Or we make scorecards.
No, see, now you're having the unintended consequences that are coming out of that. So all those things,
Yeah.
it changes course rating, it changes everything.
Yeah, I'd like to see some way where we can keep the back tee without having to use it slip. So if we put a bench up there, that's not gonna work just because we can't use it. We need the whole thing mowed.
People actually go back there and just play from there, you know, the tees are
Some
up.
do.
Yeah, but are they the kinds of people who are hitting the house?
No, the
That's-
people that play back there, but if they play the blues and they start and there's not as good a time, then you bring that into consideration. But normally the people, I've never played with anybody that's hit it up into the houses from the blues.
Well, we were
But
saying
I know what
that
happens.
because we've never seen it in a place that we.
Yeah, but you play with the same people. You get these people coming down from LA or wherever, and first time on the course, they play the blue tees. Well, that's the blue tee. Wham.
Sit there and see all the time.
How about some, as an alternative way of handling this, if we buy a really lightweight bench, instead of heavy cement bench that don't move, a bench that you can move, you can cut the grass, put the bench back. Is that a possibility, or?
Yeah, it is.
You're right, Ben, it changes the whole deal of the course if we take out the blue tees. But at the same time, they only use the blue tees, they're way back there when there's a tournament, a city tournament.
Objectives.
We do have a sprinkler head, so as long as it doesn't affect coverage. If it hits that bench, then we're gonna create more problems.
What about planting some additional trees past the netting in the general line of fire.
That's what he's doing.
Well,
underneath.
but you're going underneath, but is there anything that's going past the net?
Yeah, that's an
like
expense.
But the more, I don't know, sort of natural fence, so to speak.
If
I
you
think
look- if you look
then
at
we
it,
run into
it's
concern
only-
of their view, too.
It's only
the
that
lack of
gap.
view.
Yeah, it's only that gap that underneath the
And
net.
that's the only one that's getting it.
Everything else is covered.
So if that's what's causing it, then was it before we pushes solve that problem?
What, bushes?
The additional.
Assuming so. Most of the issues are coming up.
Solve the issue with moving the teeth.
Aaron can also find a way to get through.
Anything.
But I like Andy's idea of the benches, to deter people from using the booths that shouldn't be used. And if we have the other area open, all you do is pull the bench out, something like a soccer net. Some way to stop it. Under that. George, about the golf course activity report. You want to go over that?
Yeah, for sure. So, last quarter wasn't without its challenges, that's for sure. We had started the quarter off with an irrigation computer failure. So we didn't have water for 11 days in the golf course, so it was a period where we weren't looking too good. So yeah, safe to say I'm glad that we made the summer heat. We did have some success with new fungicides and wetting agents that kept our fairways pretty clean. We didn't have much disease, and the moisture was pretty consistent. On 7, like we saw a lot of those hydrophobic like tiger striping. I don't know if you guys remember that in the past. We never saw that this summer, so I think that was a good result of that. We completed a successful solid tine aeration at the end of September, which I think went really well. And looking at the soil profile, we're seeing results already. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the last quarter. And financial update. Yeah, we're doing good.
So
Yeah, good.
I can speak a little bit. I know some of the committee members have had some questions on the finance side of things. I know it came up at the last committee meeting as well. So just to bring the committee kind of where we're at, I know some of you guys have this history. Well, the course is doing phenomenal. We acknowledge that. We see that. I want to remind the committee that we're still working on paying down some debts from the clubhouse. When the clubhouse was built, there was a $1.25 million basically a gift that came from the general fund. It was a one-time gift to fund that. And the direction then was, this is a one-time and we don't want to do this again because we shouldn't be giving general fund money to the golf courses and enterprise fund. So there was also some borrowing from reserves and things like that. So good news, we had a working capital debt that's now paid off. So that's great news. The other side of that, there's still a loan out to the reserves that's estimated still a little over 1.5 million that's still owed. So one of the goals in an upcoming LTFP, which is a long-term financial plan meeting that council does on an annual basis, it's typically in February or so. The financial services officer and myself are going to, and the city manager will work on presenting a payment plan to repay that debt back to the reserves. And the city has always been fiscally conservative and never really wanted to play dangerously with money. And building reserves is paramount to the golf course and really any fund, regardless of an enterprise general fund. So
We took money, or given money from general 1.55. We're not paying that back.
no, we're not paying that back.
Paying the reserve fund.
Yeah, we're paying reserve fund back, yeah. So, so I think for this committee to understand, next steps for staff is to bring back a payment plan for the LTFP that council can approve. It sounds like, and I had a call with finance today, that they think we can probably pay back the reserves in 1 to 2 years. And then we can start looking at new projects. Now, keep in mind, what we've also seen is there's quite a bit of deferred maintenance that needs to be addressed, whether that's in the trees, it's netting, it's anything like that, that needs to be addressed. And on a staff perspective, there's some safety involved in that, so we're pushing those a little bit quicker. But there's not been a huge appetite from the finance side to venture into new projects beyond what is considered a safety concern. So right now, the goal is to look at the biggest safety concerns, peel those away. And then the other kind of what came out of that clubhouse build out from a funding standpoint, that council, and I believe the present council would feel that any new facilities that are developed or remodeled, whatever that may be, there needs to be a real focus on maintaining those facilities for the long term. And we're seeing that not only in the golf course, but in parks and other facilities as well. And I know you guys have been with the city long enough to know that that's kind of a regular conversation. We can build it, but then how do we maintain it? So that's kind of where we're at. Are there questions, anything like that?
So we're not having a finance guy come, obviously.
No,
You're
that's
doing
it right
I
there.
thought we were having a finance guy come to the city.
No, I don't know that he would give you any other information than what I just gave you. So I would say the next step, I'm gonna work with him to get a white paper to the LTFP, and council can look at that on a proposed payment plan back to that loan, and start paying that down as well.
Is that gonna strap Jordan's budget?
No, the goal is not to take away from existing operating costs by any means. Again, because we're seeing this kind of uptick in revenue, let's use that now and start to repay the loan. So we're still kind of operating neutrally and not impacting existing services, including maintenance. Yeah.
So can I understand correctly then? So we built this new clubhouse for $5 million, and we borrowed $4.5 million from the city to build that clubhouse, is that correct?
Yes, as well. So we borrowed money from a lot of different places. One of those was a gift from the general fund, and then there was several different, there was the working capital debt, and there was a loan as well.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. I thought it was, they loaned it to us. The city loaned it to itself.
Yes, yes,
So I considered that to be a loan, 10 years ago.
correct.
And so we owed them $4.5 million left. Is that what we owed left? Is that
We currently owe about 1.5 million.
Of that 4.5?
Correct.
Okay, so we owe 1.5 million. Now, it is an enterprise fund, is that correct?
Correct.
So that means the funds that come into the golf course, all this through this year, $685,000, that stays with the golf course, is that correct?
That's correct.
So what is that, how much is that, $685,000, how much is that over and above Jordan's costs of cutting grass and so forth?
So I can tell you,
What's the positive on that?
so at a very high level, we estimated revenue this year on our budget was at 2.8 million. And the golf maintenance fund is 2.5 million. That's just expenses. And then we have other things, the depreciation reserve that looks at machinery, getting new equipment for Dorian, things like that. That's a little over 100,000. And then we have our capital improvement things like the irrigation software, and that's about 65%. So it's really tight. It's not much. And from finances perspective, 150 is really where they want to stay. They don't want to lower that. They don't want to have less available in case something catastrophic happens. If a piece of equipment breaks that's critical to his operations, we want to be able to go to council and say, it's 75,000 and we've got 150 that we can work with.
Bringing up the question.
So let me continue my thought, if you don't mind. So you're expecting the revenue of 2.8 million for the year, and so far through October, we're at 685,000, is that correct?
Correct.
So August, September, October, so 3 months, we've made $680,000. Okay, so times 4 is 2.8. The 2.5 million that we spend for maintenance, does that include a full workforce? Because he's only had 3 or 4 workers.
Yes, it does.
It does.
So, but what he's doing is we're having to bring in more contractual services, so that's gonna have to get paid out of summer as well.
Okay, so the 2.5 million, what was it last year? I mean, is that up a lot from last year? Because the expenses are gonna be down. He's had less people this year than last year.
I'll
Correct.
have to find out what it was budgeted last year.
Jordan, do you have any idea?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Are your expenses higher this year than last year, do you think?
I would say they're about even with the contracts that I'm bringing in, like, we had a contractor for the deep tine aeration, the tea aeration. We're gonna probably do a little more this spring as well. So that probably compensates, like, an assistant superintendent's salary, which is what we haven't had for a year and a half, so. Probably whatever that salary is, it's gonna be close to it, like this contractual help. Plus, we have temp agency coming in too, that's not cheap. They're providing 2 helpers that just started last week, so our operating expenses are gonna be a little more in the next coming quarters.
Wow, so I mean, we only have $300,000 in fluff, over and above expenses, estimates and budget, is that correct? It's not a lot, really.
Well,
Considering,
how are we going to be able to pay back the 1.5 million in 22 years?
I don't have that answer right now, that's part of the, so the LTFP is gonna explain some options for repayment.
so the 2.5 doesn't include anything for repayment,
That's correct.
just
What was the revenue numbers for last fiscal year total?
I have
Prior to
to
the
pull those
2.8,
for
I'm
you.
curious about, yeah.
I can send that to you. The last, you're looking at the total
That's the-
fiscal year?
That's just for one first quarter, you can see the remaining 3 quarters.
So they just closed out kind of our last fiscal year, they did the 4th quarter closeout, so I can get that for the committee.
I'd be curious to see how that's trending over the last
Sure,
couple of years.
I can get that to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
this year it's up 140,000 per quarter.
That's
If you
what I'm
multiply
saying,
that
so-
times 4, you're talking about $600,000.
So then you wanna see what the, yeah, well, what was the surplus last year? See, I'm sure you can see the surplus last year.
Yeah, so I'll get that, I can get those details, do you guys want over last year and the year before, how many years back?
Last
do you
year's
want?
kind of a weird year because half of the
Correct.
year was sort of dead and the other half of the year was gangbusters. So,
And keep in mind, last year, we had Wedgwood wasn't operating, but maybe, the year before that, there was quite a few times where Wedgwood was really carrying it. So it was kind of a balance. So we're seeing now Wedgwood's coming back, well beyond what they ever expected as well. So I think the revenue trend is good, but I'll send you guys at least, do you want 2 or 3 year history?
3-year history.
3-year history?
and does the revenue include the revenue from Wedgwood?
Yes, it's
The
all
2.8?
inclusive.
Because, alright, it doesn't, because here it looks like just greens, res, cards,
Yeah.
tournaments, and trusts.
Yeah, so that's a little bit more, yes, I can give you guys a bit more.
Because if that plays into it, then that revenue and the surplus from them pays into paying down the debt, and that would be good to know as well, because it might change them.
But all of that income is part of your estimated revenue,
Correct.
so
So, but, yeah, but
That's
she's
just
saying it might not
direction.
be part of that 2.8.
So I'll get you guys a 3-year history and I'll itemize it so you can see what the clubhouse is doing, what the greens are doing, what the pro shop is doing as
I
well.
want to see if Wedgwood's paying their fair share.
I will say they never asked for any type of rent abatement or anything like that through COVID, and we did have other operators that asked for that, so they continued with their payments.
Before I forget, Jordan, what's the status of the irrigation system pumps and everything? Is they looking good or?
They're outdated, but they're still running,
Okay.
I can say that.
So
We have a good irrigation tech and they're pretty strong now with the pumps, so we have problems, but I'm able to fix most of it in-house. Jose is a pretty good irrigation tech, so he's really strong at fixing breaks on the field, which is daily.
That's the thing that scares me.
Yeah, basically the biggest thing is their irrigation software is really prone to malfunctions, so that's what killed us in mid-July. So we're looking to get that updated
weeks no water?
What's that?
12 days.
12 days, yeah.
Do you have a laundry list with your priorities, you know, things you think need the most attention?
Mhm.
That's something you can share with us?
Yeah, yeah. I don't have it on me.
No, I'm not saying right now, but
For
if
sure.
you have that list with your highest priority, medium, and low priority, you can see what that is, and maybe you can put like an estimated cost, so you can kind of weight it as well, a little bit, like be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And still trying to hire somebody? These people.
Yeah, I mean, we had the assistant superintendent position open, and everybody said no. Well, one guy didn't clear background, and then the other guys just went through the whole process, and we go, I don't want to do it. So,
That's what's
I mean,
happening
that's
now.
just the industry. Everybody is having a hard time finding assistants. Like, it's kind of nationwide. Yeah.
You don't have to nationwide for assistance.
Well, just every superintendent's having a hard time. There's top 10 country clubs in America that can't find assistant superintendents. They're like posting jobs, which is crazy. That's kind of unheard of, so it's hard to find good help.
Anything else, Samantha?
I think this is a good time probably to talk about Wedgewood, to give you guys an update. I'll forward the committee a letter. The good news is they are fully operational, back to their regular hours. They should have started on Monday, November 1st at 6 a.m. They do have a new, yes, they do have a new general manager. His name is Eddie, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy working with him. He comes from a golf course background. He's worked for Wedgewood, but he worked at another Wedgewood golf course. So I did meet with him. Jordan, I think you met with him as well. Yeah.
No, actually.
He
I
was
haven't.
trying
I
to
was
connect
supposed
with
to.
you. So he did share with me that his priority is customer service first and foremost, and he did hear that there was some concern about the golfers weren't feeling like they were being included in the kind of, really the clubhouse operations, that they were kind of an afterthought. That is not his goal as the GM. He wants to make sure golfers understand that this is their clubhouse, it's at the golf course. With the balance that they also hold weddings. They are holding a significant amount of weddings. They're seeing more Monday weddings, Wednesday, Thursdays, Tuesdays are their slower days. But I think generally golfers can expect to see events happening 6 days a week there.
Did you tell him he was going to be tested on November the 30th?
I should.
We'll see how it's
I'm gonna be at a wedding there this Saturday.
Okay, and they finally have restaffed. Their delay was in staffing. I know Megan is moving to another facility, so she's going to
the other end of town.
yeah, she's going to the north end of town. So again, I think Eddie will be a nice addition to the course.
Anxious to meet him.
Yeah, so I know he's around. He was splitting his time a little bit between Aliso, because he was doing what, but I think he's full time now. He's in the committee. So I will send you the letter that they sent us, the city, to state that we are operational and here's everything we're doing. But he wants to know if you guys have feedback. He wants to hear from committee members and the public. He'll do everything he can. He understands that, the beverage cart runs certain days per contract, but if the committee and the public wants it, let's add it more. If he can afford to do it in the sense of, he's got the staffing and the right budget for it. So he's not opposed to any of those types of things. Yes. They're supposed to be per their contract, back to their normal hours. Yeah.
Good.
It's exciting, yeah. And then the other update, and this goes to staffing. The council did approve an MOU with the Employees Association. So part of that, there's a couple of percentage bumps for current employees, and then there's a commitment from the council to fund a class and home study for all full-time positions. And I know the golf positions certainly need to be looked at. As Jordan's seen, that it's hard to stay competitive with the private sector even, and kind of these maintenance worker one positions we're maybe on the lower end of that now, with the private sector bumping things slowly and slowly. So I think that hopefully, fingers crossed, is a good thing for our golf division in the future. And then also on that same note, the Beaches, Parks and Recreation Department has an analyst position open. So this analyst position is going to serve golf, marine safety, and recreation in terms of marketing. So they're going to come in, it's currently open, it's open for, I think, 2 weeks. If you guys have anybody that has a background or interest in dabbling in all of those things, in studies and stuff like that, it's open now. My goal for that person, though, is to come up with regular newsletters, better communication to the public about what's going on at the course. If there's anything that we can be more transparent on, I want that to start happening. And making sure while we're in a good position now, I want to make sure we stay a very flush and capacity course, if you will. So that's all.
So
It's got your name
the
written all
social
over it.
media presence.
That's
has
another
not been
element.
particularly strong in the past. I'm no social media expert, but can tell that could do it. So.
Yeah, so that person's going to also do that for golf
Great.
and rec and marine safety.
Someone who knows a
So.
little bit more. And I think it's just being, like, Vinny's just been kind of just doing it in his spare time when he's
Yeah.
not, running around, so. Someone
Yep. So that's all I got.
Well, you're gonna love this item from committee members, and we just go down the line, so if you've got something to contribute, Counselor Shannon.
I've got some things.
There you go.
I've got some notes written down. Are we at that point now?
Yes.
A couple of things that people have heard about, carts in particular, cart rules. Been a problem with people keeping carts where they're supposed to be. It's starting to impact certain spots. People are climbing up hills. That's just yesterday I was on the course and there was somebody, who had their cart almost on the side of the hill on 17 Green, just below it, like things like that. That was just asking for problems. So the marshals tend to not have a lot of authority, sounds like, and they have tried to come in and ask people to please move the carts. People tell them to get lost, more colorful way. And they're ending up, there's nothing they can do about it, right? They need to empower them a little bit more, the marshals. Also, maybe just make sure that the marshals understand, refresher and what they should be out there doing, maybe. And then they're kind of sitting off to the side a little
Instead
bit.
of just picking up broken teeth.
Instead of just picking up broken tees and golf balls on the back of the range. And then, I don't know if they could start we used to have like ropes and stuff like that, if I remember correctly.
Well, and signs.
And cart signs.
Remember the
Those
cart
are-
signs?
Maybe the marshals could help you guys put those out in the mornings, or double check that they're there on every hole and stuff like that.
Yeah, we found that they just didn't work.
I'm sure they're not.
They get ran over and broken, and they just kind of look unsightly. We have 6 people, including myself, and a mechanic. So really, we have 4 operators. So putting signs out in every hole and having my operators have to get off the machinery and move them every time adds about a half hour to the route. You add a half hour every day, it adds up.
Is it
So-
something the marshals could do after you guys have gotten through done, the main mowing that you need to, or is it something that they'd going all
We still have
day?
to move them in the
Yeah.
mornings because we're there at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, bring them
I think
in.
the marshals have to keep an eye on things and actually give them some teeth to bite these guys, because just
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah,
I mean, Kurt told me about the run-in he had,
yeah,
and the guy was not nice, and he told him several times on different occasions.
mm,
And we need to be able to allow the marshals to just take the cart away and refund their money,
mhm,
because we don't need them out there.
mhm.
because it's not just it probably damages, of course, to an extent, right? And I don't know what the true impact is on the grass, and it's pretty resilient grass, but.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. I'd rather not have cars driving on the collars and
Right next to
whatnot.
them.
And I did buy handicaps signs.
Yes.
I have 4 of those. They're in the pro shop, so
Get those out.
If
Are
ever-
they be flags? That's what I'm gonna bring up. Are those flags you can put on your cart?
yeah, they have a clip to them, and you put them on the cart. So there's 5 of those in the pro shop. So I've told the marshals, if somebody, I don't want them screaming at somebody who's, not able-bodied, so I'd like them,
Yeah.
to offer them a handicap sign, like, here you go, so I'm not having to talk to you again, you can drive your car next to the green. So there are exceptions to the rules, obviously, so.
And the signs that you were talking about that are a problem, to move the car,
Yeah.
take your time, can they be put perhaps next to where the paths are? So that it's not interfering with cutting the grass?
We still cut near the paths, though. We still cut.
How do other courses they get out when they move those? Because you see them with the stakes in the road and stuff like that. They have to get, those guys are just getting on and off.
Yeah, they have 20 people.
Well,
They're
yeah.
so
No,
they're able
I'm
to-
not,
they're able to-
yeah, I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're just trying to maximize our,
Yeah, I understand. Your
Our staff,
efficiency
yeah.
is key.
so. If we,
Yeah,
I get 5 or 6 more
So
guys.
maybe the easy answer is to use the marshals. Empower them a little bit more.
I mean, we were out there playing, the marshal pulled up on us on 16, gee, we're waiting on the group, and he goes down to the canyon and was searching for golf balls.
Yeah, so they're not.
You need to report that to me then, like, you take a picture of it.
And I've seen guys.
Because I specifically said that, like, there's absolutely no ball hawking. So,
Okay.
please take a picture of it and send it to me and I'll deal with
I
that. If that's
caught one.
unacceptable.
I saw it.
Yeah, that's a bad, and that's exactly what I want to get away from, why we took over this marshal position, so.
Yeah.
If anybody sees that, please report that to me.
Yeah,
and
or just
I'll-
camping out, like in weird spots, like out of the way,
Yeah, and I
That
mean,
doesn't do much.
I'm not here in the afternoons either, and,
Yeah,
they're
so-
doing my thing,
What
so
do we
yeah.
need to do, Sam, to give them more authority to, remove people? I mean,
Or somehow, maybe not remove them, but penalize them
Let
in
me-
the shop.
Let me look at that. It might,
Yeah, we don't want to overstep.
might be
our-
in the code already, that the golf marshals have authority, but if it's not, maybe it should
It
be.
used to be on the back of the scorecard.
It certainly could be on the back of the
Right.
scorecard, as long as it's noticed, it says a marshal has the right to remove a golfer for not complying with
Yeah, they even
course
said even
rules.
the maintenance employees.
Yeah.
As they get up and go.
So let me check to make sure that those things are all in place, and then it's just a matter of training the marshals to make sure that they deal with that.
used to be a little retired.
He's probably affected too.
I mean, this is also help with the trespassing, because I know people sneak on constantly,
Mhm.
even people we all know, slide on because they live nearby and they just slide right out, so. That was one of the things, just like, people jumping in, trespassing, especially later in the day.
Run range balls on Fort Greene in the mornings and removing the balls up.
And you can see the damage on three, someone's hit a ton of balls, just the other day, I noticed there must have been hitting, because they're all divots all in a row, so they're all hitting into that green from 80, 90 yards out, so.
Yeah, coming home tonight, I drove down to 15 and there was a cart on the left side, about 15 feet off the green. It's just getting a bad look.
So it sounds like some additional. Sorry, one other thing I had been thinking about was performing or conducting a golf survey to the residents. We have a database full of emails, right? Because everybody's had to sign up. Why not prepare some sort of survey just to reach out to the local community and the residents and get an idea of, we'll have to preset the questions, right? So that we don't get all sorts of crazy things. But we can preset 5, 6, 7 questions just to kind of get a feel for where people, what the residents of the city feel about the golf course. What are some of the things they think they see, where they would like to see potential improvements, or, again, we have to craft it in a way that aligns with, not the exact response we want, but the kind of questions we want to get. So it seems like we can use that, the email database or whatever. All right.
Andy?
Just one question, is there any way you can give the short part from the prices at the inspection?
I don't know. I had that same question asked to me today.
Not that everyone gets
No.
prices, but at the inspection.
Discretion of the starter.
Of the starter.
Used to be there. Let's stop the COVID.
Pace of play's been pretty good though,
Yeah.
so I think 5 sounds good.
Except yesterday.
Yeah,
I went out
Wednesday
there to
was
find my
terrible.
son and they had everybody quitting. It was so
It's
bad.
called event.
Yeah, one yesterday was
And there were
45,
450.
450. An hour.
Yeah.
But when the starter had the scratch. The five seats were one you were.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, we addressed that, we're gonna put a fence up the blue tees for 16. Those people are,
We're looking into that, possibility.
fences, 16 green blue tees.
At the corner.
They're cutting the canyon
Trying to,
off the blue tee.
We had a sign out in the meantime not to,
Not to cut down the canyon, I mean, not blow it down the canyon.
yeah, it's like a 285 carry, I think.
Okay, I promise.
It's a big drive to get to the green.
the bench on first tee box.
Is that-
No. Check that. It's a seat. It's just.
Yeah, we probably replace that.
That's what I
You guys
thought.
will-
It's just a question of replacing these slots.
Yeah, I think we have like old ones that we took down when the Boys and Girls Club was burned down, so we replace those.
It's kind of unsightly.
Okay, I got a couple, just, there was a cart path on 17, both on 17. Cart path on 17, could we do something on both ends? You know, as it gets to the black stuff from the cement,
Yeah, we got
there's
patches.
big
up.
holes in there.
Yeah, so,
Fill it with crushed rock or something.
yeah, that's on the agenda for the next couple of weeks here. Patches those.
What?
So,
Diversion. Diversion tape.
No, that's my next one. Reflector on 17 as well. Next Q and yours. I know we had it up in the shop, but I don't know what happened to it.
And I want to phone Gus somehow.
Gus ordered it? Oh, no, I got it. It's gonna be in next
Rick
week.
gets it up the hill and it comes back down the.
Wait,
So he wants the diversion thing to divert the balls to go off into the grass, so they listen all the way back down to the level.
you lose 120 yards. Well, that's the first remedy, yes. I'm willing to do that, but my golf ball doesn't all the time.
What
Along
is
with
it, a
everybody
plastic
else.
ramp that you go up at one side and then?
Just a
Speed bump.
thing like this, just to divert.
And they slant it. You know, they've got them all over, you played San Juan Hills.
Yeah.
They've got them up number 4 all the way.
Gus said he had it like 5 years, 6 years ago. So,
He just didn't put it out because they found something else to.
I think it was just flat heating.
Took it to
Right.
And then, yeah, I'll have to interject this one too, for 18, that's really looking bad down at where the car path starts up from the canyon up to the green. Can we do anything there?
Yeah, so I think we spoke briefly about that. I want to put in a DG that's rain resistant. Like, actually take a sod cutter and do like a proper like semicircle, so it looks nice. That's my long-term plan, not just filling dirt in it when it rains and we fill dirt.
Yeah, 'cause
Keep coming back to it. I'd like to do something a little more permanent and that shouldn't be too expensive, so.
okay.
Good project for our 2 new temp hires.
Okay, we need to get a Greens subcommittee together. What, you want another shot?
Sand. Did you get new sand?
Dip and sand, yes.
It's more brownish.
It's more coarse, yeah.
It's pretty coarse.
It's actually been great for filling holes in the tees. So we burned through most of that, so we'll get the new sand when that one runs out soon, so.
Andy, Ben, to bring you up to speed, within the committee, we have 2 subcommittees, Greens Committee and a House Committee.
Yeah.
And Dick and I have been on the Greens Committee, because he's a great note taker. When we
You
go
ever
around.
see my notes?
I've seen them. I've read through your greens committee.
Yeah, he presents them. So, I'm looking for a couple members for the House Subcommittee. Would you guys be willing to jump on that, Nick? Nick, you in the House, meeting with Wedgewood, that kind of stuff? All right. You want to be on with us?
I was interested in doing the greens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You, Nick and I, that's taken care
So
of.
your subcommittee can only have 2 members now, just so you know, to avoid a Brown Act. Sorry,
Really? Well, that's right, because we can't be seen together.
that's right.
Well, I've been doing it a long
I'll be
time.
glad to back off.
You tried to back out before I could? What kind of deal is that? We can't have you back out, you take copious notes.
Me and Jim.
Yes.
So we usually do it every quarter. We meet Jordan down at the golf course at 7 in the morning on Friday or something like that. Is that okay for you? Yeah. Takes an hour and we go around. It's really interesting. You see a different.
Actually, yeah, I would do it monthly if we could. I'd love to get around and totally into golf course design and maintenance and stuff. I've always been interested.
You do it weekly, do it, and just play golf.
I do play there a couple times a week, so.
Rick, how do we manage the ice cream? Can we wait the document?
Well, that's up to you and Nick to decide when you want to meet, or, and I would coordinate it with, the manager, Eddie. Just tell him about, you're on the golf commission, and you want to, you're on the house committee, that you would like to meet with him and go over some of the things.
And is that just the way we talk about, or is there anything else that we need to know?
Well, it would entail the golf court, yeah, the pro shop as well. Anything
Get us
that
that
needs to be
license.
discussed. So there you go. All right, I'm taking a motion to adjourn.
Motion to, second.
All right, okay, I want to see you guys Tuesday, November the 30th, at the golf course, Wedgewood's Pawawai.
Try not to be a thorn in your side. 1,000 questions.
Present.
I'm all-
Yeah.
Yeah.